So we're loving to pass on our tips and hints for you guys today. It's all about taking small daily action steps and integrating health. And what we're going through right now on the planet, I believe, is a perfect invitation for people to look at their health through a different lens and start to have a look at it, assess it, and see where they might be able to take a forward step and an action step in making small improvements. So we're collaborating with other healthcare professionals to bring you this series. And the topic today is keeping families naturally healthy. And I have with me Dr. Pete Douros. He's from Awakened Heart Naturopathic. He's a naturopathic doctor, a homeopath, and he's involved in German New Medicine. And it's just so fascinating to me how broad his scope of practice is and how many people he can help to improve the lives of. So, Dr. Pete, what I'd love to ask you today are, what are some general tips that you have for us for keeping families naturally healthy right now?
Yes, thanks for having me, Wendy. I'm excited to be here and connect with everyone that's watching today, and hopefully a lot of others will get to see this after, see the recording as well. So yeah, we're going through a very unusual time. So much is changing. It's happening so fast, and it's, the life was already happening fast and changing quickly even before this happened. In our own, personal lives, our family lives, our community lives, but now this is to another level. And I think a lot of people in my own life and with my patients, I've noticed a lot of people have been feeling overwhelmed from being busy and the demands of fast-paced modern life. So it's really interesting how, unfortunately, there's a lot of people who are suffering right now as a result of what's happening, and hopefully, as many people as possible can stay healthy and move through this without having any negative consequences. I think we're all feeling it in some way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the way it's affecting everyone, it's really kind of, we're getting a strong message, getting a strong invitation to reevaluate the way we're living our lives, how we're doing things that might not be serving us, and it's almost like we're being forced to slow down.
Yeah, we really are.
We are, and it's so important because when we're moving so quickly, not only does it have an effect on our body, which we're going to get into today. I think both of us are going to kind of have a conversation about how we can support our bodies, but just in general, going through your life every day, where you're just kind of quickly doing all your to-do lists and waking up, and it's like you're just on the go until it's time to go to bed. And when's the last time we've had an opportunity where everything has just shut down? We get it on vacations, some of us, if we're going on vacations, but it's like that feeling of not having to be turned on 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've had it for day after day now for a while, so it's an interesting experience we're going through.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I guess one thing that I'll say, and I think a lot of people, I'm noticing with people's posts on social media, they are taking the time to remember the important things in life, or taking care of ourselves, taking care of our families, and just appreciating what it's like to slow down and just to have a higher level of awareness of what's happening in your life and the people that you're connected to, and feeling gratitude for the joy of having some extra time with your children or family members or friends. I guess at this point we're mostly just thinking to family members, with people being isolated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are a bit of my thoughts about what I've been thinking these days.
Yeah, it's great when, there is a lot of stress and anxiousness and fear right now, and I think many of us go back and forth between that and hopefully a different vision, a different lens of what can we take from this, what can we improve in our lives, what kind of rest time can we give ourselves right now. So what are some other general tips on a daily basis that you teach people about, knowing obviously that we don't have anyone's full health assessment here and you do a thorough and full health assessment, but what are some general themes that you're usually talking to people about?
Well, one thing is try not to say, let's use the example of exercise, getting up, moving around, especially now where so many of us are on our devices all day and kind of looking down, which puts a big strain on our necks, right?
I'm going to adjust my posture right now.
Yeah, me too.
See, an awareness, and we can make changes.
Exactly, yeah. So yeah, moving around is so huge. Our bodies are designed to be constantly moving around. We're not designed to be sitting on the couch for 8 hours a day. So it may seem like a lot to go and do like a long walk or a long run or whatever type of exercise you like to do. But one of the things I really focus on with patients is don't try to make leaps that don't register in your brain as being possible. So if for you, being physically active, if all that you can actually register with and be comfortable with is walking out the end of your driveway to pick up the newspaper, then start with that today. If going to get the mail it's a 5-minute walk, go and come back, just do that and just appreciate that you've done something that you didn't do before.
Yeah.
So keeping it simple is huge.
And those baby steps are easy to build on, easy to, make a habit and then build on it instead of trying to overhaul everything at once, which might be our temptation right now with all this extra time now. That being said, there are a lot of frontline and super, super busy people right now, but small steps and appreciation for those steps. I love that.
Exactly, yeah, because then you take small steps and then you feel more confident with the step that you took. And then the next time you do it, you feel like you want to take a bigger step and eventually build momentum. And then, who knows what that could lead to for you.
Yeah, training yourself.
Yeah.
I love it.
Exactly, yeah. What else would I say? I would say take some more time to tune into the present moment. The pace of life for a lot of us has slowed down, which we don't get an opportunity to experience very often. So really, really pay attention to your awareness. So pay attention to the way that you interact with your family members. Pay attention to the way that you feel when you're around your family members, or if you're not around family, whatever it is that you do in your daily life. Just have awareness. Have awareness of what brings you satisfaction, what brings you joy, and also have awareness of those moments when you do feel anxious or you do feel fearful. And watch what you do. Watch what you do. And by having these awarenesses, sometimes when we do go into fear, we don't realize that as soon as that initial fearful emotion starts to arise, we don't realize what we do with it. Sometimes we feed on that initial emotion and then it ends up escalating. So by having that awareness, when you notice that you're starting to go down that road, you can take a different path.
Yeah, that's key, that awareness piece. I find in my own household, I can see when stuff is happening and what's building up.
Yeah.
And it's stressful for everyone right now, but if I can take a moment, breathe, and reflect on what have they just gone through in the day, or what has my husband just gone through, what have I experienced in my day so far, then it allows me to respond in a different way. And that's not always easy. Sometimes we have to go back in time and maybe make an apology or say, I didn't handle that the best way that I could have. Mommy or daddy, we're just trying to, do our best in this situation too. Then I think that's going to help us to create more aware family members and more aware children and just model a little more resiliency.
So key. So even in those situations where you respond in a way that you wouldn't have liked to have responded, showing your children that it's okay, we all make mistakes, but showing them that you take responsibility when you realize that what you did affected another person in a way that you didn't really intend to affect them.
Yeah.
And I think also with having more time and the pace of life slowing down for many, it makes it a little easier to do what I always recommend when you're getting emotionally triggered before you react or respond, is to take a pause. when life's really fast and it's like one thing on top of another, and this person's calling you and this person's texting you and there's an email and something's on the stove and the kids are calling to you, it's real easy to forget about that little pause. When you feel something coming up inside, whether fear, anxiety, anger, discomfort, and you're just so overwhelmed that you just have a reaction that's not really the way you want to react. Taking that little pause is so huge. And I think a lot of people, although in some ways it's been beneficial to slow down, a lot of families are finding it challenging that everyone's at home in a new schedule, spending a lot more time together. And sometimes that can lead to some friction. So there may be some more opportunities to practice the pausing.
Yes. My example right before this, and the changing of expectations and communication, that leads to that piece too, making sure everyone knows what's going on. Right before we were going live, we're in our chiropractic office here, and they decided it's time to clean up and vacuum and all and do that. I'm like, you guys, here was my plan for the day. This is my working space. Can we shift this a little bit? Knowing that they probably didn't know that I had this scheduled. So that my piece is I should have, here's what I have going on today. Here's the one piece where you need to be quiet. And then on the other hand, it's life in this moment, and we're still doing our job, and we're still, helping people. So a little bit of healthy reality is good.
Exactly. Yeah, good example.
Now, do you have any, sort of general nutrition-based tips for people right now? Obviously, these are very similar to what we would want people to consider on a daily basis. How could we lead people in that area right now?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind when you ask that question is sugar.
Yeah.
Okay, a lot of people are talking about how being at home is leading to more sugar cravings and eating more sugar. And a lot of us know that sugar is not exactly great for us. It's not actually supporting our health. But we do tend to lean towards sugar when we want comfort and we want, to change our brain chemistry to feel a temporary feeling of more pleasure. Okay?
Pleasure in this time of like pain and worry. No wonder we're craving sugar. I know exactly where the Lindt chocolate balls are in my house right now.
Well, chocolate's another whole other combination of pleasure chemicals, but definitely, you got the sugar there too. Having just 1 teaspoon of sugar can slow down your immune response for anywhere from 4 to 8 hours.
Wow.
1 teaspoon.
Wow.
So this means that if you're having breakfast and you're having, say, white bread with, 2 tablespoons of marmalade on it, and let's say you have coffee and you put a couple teaspoons of sugar in your coffee, all of a sudden, for the whole day, your immune function is not where it could be. Yeah. And especially at a time like this, when we want to make sure our immune systems are as strong as possible, see what you can do to minimize your sugar intake. Yeah, so there's honey. I guess that would be my most natural source of sugar that I would recommend. And I personally go with raw, unpasteurized honey. If you're giving it to little ones, then you have to make sure that they're not too young, because with babies and infants, it's not safe to give it to them if it's raw. There's always stevia. I know some people are not into the taste of stevia. It's a natural sweetener without calories, or with very few calories. I think it's 1 gram of sugar per teaspoon. And it's made from an extract that comes from a South American bush that happens to be really sweet, but doesn't have lots of sugar in it. So that's another option for sweetener. And kind of going back to the awareness thing I was talking about before, just having some awareness of the moments, the situations where you're reaching for the sugary foods.
Giving that pause. Why?
Giving the pause. Exactly.
Now.
Yeah, what's going on inside? What am I feeling? Maybe you just had an argument with a family member and you're feeling vulnerable, and having a little bit of sugar is a way to comfort yourself, to make yourself feel better in that moment. So just thinking about other ways that you could comfort yourself, maybe go for a walk, maybe get some fresh air. There's always lots of options.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think lots of people are leaning on comfort measures right now, whether it's food or binge watching or something like that. So recognizing our triggers, being aware of them, making the choice, do we want to switch it or not? But having a little more knowledge, that's the whole point of what we're doing.
Yeah. And I think another key piece is that we're not going to make the best choices 100% of the time. There's going to be times when we still do have the sugar. And I think it's really important what you do in those situations. Because what we tend to do is we tend to beat up on ourselves, we tend to judge ourselves and be harsh towards ourselves, which a lot of times we end up treating ourselves exactly in alignment with the discomfort that was caused by the situation that made us reach for the sugar.
Yeah.
So if we just have met with someone, and let's say they've been aggressive to us and we feel hurt because of the way they're speaking to us, and that's leading for us to want that comfort and reach for the sugar, isn't it interesting that after we've had the sugar or whatever it might be, that sometimes we have the same inner dialogue towards ourselves that's in alignment with what just happened. Just paying attention to what's going on inside your thoughts, your feelings while you're doing these things that usually you don't do all the time.
Yeah. And allowing a little bit of that forgiveness too, but turning down the dial on the negative self-talk and the I shouldn't,
exactly.
I failed, I set up this goal and I didn't do it, and that just is going to create more of a loop of failure than a loop of success.
Exactly, and it's going to lead you to be more likely to do whatever it is you just did that you're not happy with. Whereas if you just acknowledge that, there's going to be days when I do something, we're talking about sugar, where I have a bit more sugar than I would like, and there's going to be other days where maybe I don't have any sugar.
Yeah.
And it's all okay as long as I'm paying attention to what's happening and being kind to myself, then that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Especially when we're trying to get through something that our generation hasn't been through before.
Yeah, this is big. Yeah.
Kindness to ourselves and then kindness to ourselves, and then that will spread as more kindness, or at least tolerance, let's say, of what else is going on, so that we don't contribute to that negative or fear pattern.
Exactly. And we're seeing more and more just how much the whole world is connected. So in the past, it was a lot easier to have a mindset where, why does it matter what I do? I'm here in the Bay Area, why does it matter if I'm kind? But now we've got social media, people are integrated and kind of feeding off each other's energies, and we've got this virus that is spreading all around the world. So it's such a different time that we're in. So
for sure.
You can really change so much just by changing your own life.
Yeah. Well, thank you for those tips. Are there any others that you add for people?
Yeah, so I guess since this is a time where people are asking about immune support, excuse me, I'm just going to move this, do a little adjustment here. Hopefully get a bit more light. There we go. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, so I guess some foods. Let's talk about some foods that help the immune system.
Yeah.
So vitamin A is key for the immune system. And you can take it in the supplement form, but you can also get it from foods. And the foods that tend to contribute to your vitamin A status are foods that are kind of brightly colored, and they're high in beta carotene. So, and what your body does when you have a lot of beta carotene in your diet, it ends up converting it to vitamin A and boosting your immune system. So everyone knows carrots, sweet potatoes, squash, pumpkin. So those are all really high in vitamin A or in beta carotene. So you want to be having more of those. And it's interesting, traditionally, those are the foods that we tend to have more in the winter time.
Yeah.
The time of the year that we want to keep our immune system strong.
Yeah.
So so those foods. And I'll give you a little tip that I have for squash and pumpkin. So what I do is kind of to simplify making soups. I'll sometimes buy a packaged organic soup, and then what I'll do is I'll buy a whole squash and I'll bake it on the side, just the squash. I keep the skin on. Believe it or not, if you have a strong blender, you won't be able to tell that the skin is in there.
No way.
When you make your soup. Oh yeah. So I cut it in half and I put it in a casserole dish and put some water in the bottom and just put it in the oven. They all take different amounts of time, so kind of just check to see when it starts to get soft. Then what I'll do is I'll take this big squash, after it's cooled down, I'll put it in a blender, add a little bit of water to that, and then liquefy it, and then I'll take that, which is like pure, raw, just like nutritious whole food vegetable, and I'll mix that with the soup mix.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if anybody else finds this, but I find lots of soup mixes are so high in sodium, and there's just so much in there. So it works out really well to kind of mix it together, and then you'll get a bit more fiber and other things. So that's one thing you can do if you want to kind of go halfway on a homemade soup.
Yeah, I love that. And we have a Vitamix. We've used them for like 10 years, so it's a machine. And I recently started eating full squash. We bought one of those Ninja Foodies. Ninja, however you say it, and it's been a great tool. And someone said, literally just put the full thing in. You can do this with a pressure cooker too, and just cook it like that. And so now I won't have to take the skin off, and I'm totally gonna give that a go.
There you go. Yeah. You could put the seeds in there if you're really hardcore. That's what I do. I make it for myself, but if I'm making it for others, I just scoop the seeds out. But the skin of the squash itself, like I'm picturing a butternut squash.
Yeah.
If you're like making a spaghetti squash, you probably want to take the skin off of that, because that's probably not going to liquefy very well.
No, that'd be pretty gross.
Yeah, exactly. So the beta carotene rich foods, and some of the vitamin C rich foods. So the citrus, the lemons, the oranges, the grapefruits, and believe it or not everyone knows this. One of the highest vitamin C vegetables is actually red bell peppers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's good to know. So you can also get that in there, because vitamin C is also good for the immune system. Garlic and onion. So those are also good. Garlic is huge for the immune system, and whether you take it, some people take it raw. That's probably the most potent way to take garlic. You can actually, there's all kinds of recipes online for where you can chop up garlic and put in raw honey, and just like let it kind of ferment and steep into the honey, and then should you feel like something's coming on, that's a natural remedy that you could use.
Sounds adventurous. And what about clove?
Yes.
I've read and studied that clove is really, really high in antioxidants, and not that we go around chewing on clove anymore. A lot of people would put them in their winter dishes or ham or turkey and stuff like that, but clove as a herbal antioxidant support.
Yeah, I've never actually used it myself, other than kind of using it as a spice. But actually, the one other time I've used clove is a while back. I had some dental pain.
Yep.
And I actually used clove essential oil.
Yeah,
and it was amazing. It really decreased my pain.
Yeah, it's been a natural anesthetic in the dental world, like before it had anything else, and that's why clove is one of the oils in our On Guard blend. Because it's so high in antioxidants, like the highest thing you could find, but nobody chews on clove anymore. It's a natural support that I've learned about over time.
Actually, do you mind sharing a bit more about what's in the On Guard?
Yep. Orange, essential oil, clove, rosemary. Oh gosh, now I'm not going to come up with them off the top of my head. We have hundreds of oils, and of course it's not right here. Yeah, I'll post about it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I guess it's one of the things that people are using to disinfect surfaces, I guess. Eh?
Yeah, and to support a healthy immune response and a healthy, protection of the body. And this time we're diffusing it all the time. We're using it in our hand sanitizer. and putting it on the bottom of our feet. And the kids and I take an On Guard beadlet every day, even in regular times, but certainly at times of high stress, high sugar, or high threats.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Yeah. So we've got some foods, we've got some lifestyle tips, some awareness.
Yeah.
I love it because a lot of this information that we're sharing, guys, is so easy for you to do. It's free. It's, not something. I mean, now we're going to go back to like those sweet foods and those sugar foods. When you are getting up to the grocery store, just don't buy them and then you don't have them in your home.
Exactly.
Or buy a smaller amount of them.
Or only have sugar, like make it a treat where the only time you have sugar is when you actually go somewhere to like buy a muffin or buy something. If it's not in your house, you just won't reach for it all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So you can make that decision of, I'll try something different in this moment.
Exactly.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think another thing I'll mention is kind of on the vitamin side of things, on the vitamins and mineral side of things. There's vitamin D is pretty huge for immune function.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so many Canadians are deficient in vitamin D. Most of my patients who are just getting started and just kind of starting to do their blood work, especially this time of year, vitamin D is coming back low or coming back just barely in the normal range.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas there's all kinds of research to show going a bit higher with your vitamin D levels than just the bare minimum is where you want to be. There's all kinds of positive health outcomes when it's a little bit higher.
Mm-hmm.
But having said that, even just getting to the normal range would be huge enough because a lot of people are not. If you're not supplementing with vitamin D and you live in Canada, it's very unlikely. There's not that many foods that are enriched with vitamin D unless you're drinking all kinds of dairy milk all day long. There's not that many foods that have vitamin D added.
Yeah, and we're not big dairy in our home. We choose milk alternatives, but that is something as well that we work on in our home is vitamin D supplementation. Can you explain to people the vitamin D, vitamin D3, like what should they be looking for? Because we know that a lot of store-bought vitamins and supplements are not very bioabsorbable. So can you just help us out with that, navigating that?
Yeah. So if you're buying supplements, there's vitamin D2 and vitamin D3. So vitamin D2 tends to come from mushrooms. Vitamin D3 there's different forms that it comes from. But vitamin D3 is actually the active form of vitamin D. That's the one that your body responds the best to. Vitamin D2, it's good there are some D3 sources that are not vegan. So it's kind of the next best thing if that's the choice you're making for your lifestyle. But the benefit of vitamin D2 supplementation is not anywhere comparable to D3. So that's the one you want to look for.
Okay.
I guess if you're taking vitamin D3 tablets, so the white tablets, you want to make sure that you're taking it with a meal because vitamin D3 is a fat soluble vitamin. Mm-hmm. Meaning that the way that your body takes it in is that there has to be fat present in the body in the meal at the same time as you're taking it for your body to benefit from it. Otherwise, say you're like fasting all night and you take a vitamin D3 tablet in the morning without any other food or fat, your body's not going to benefit from it as much. Yeah. So a lot of companies are making drops, which basically means you can take it anytime you want. Mm-hmm. When you're buying drops, you want to look for drops that are kind of are made with healthy oils like coconut oil or some have extra virgin olive oil. You just want to stay away from the ones that have things like soybean oil or other types of cheap quality oils that some companies are using.
Yeah, to cut corners. And that's why you guys I always recommend people work with someone who's really knowledgeable in nutrition and supplementation versus just going to the store or saying, hearing, I need calcium or I need magnesium and making that decision. Work with someone because it's more complex than just going and buying a Jameson supplement. Okay, so work with people so that you're getting the value, you're doing the right concentrations. Maybe you've done your blood work and consulted your naturopath so that you have guidelines that you work for. You wouldn't, take a medication without any guidelines. So why would you do that with supplementation? Is my perspective and my experience. Know what you're taking, know the availability and bioabsorbability, what it might need to be combined with to get the actual benefits, or just kind of pee them out and waste your money. For really being honest about it, and overwhelm the kidneys and the liver, right?
Exactly, yeah, because anytime you're taking something, the body does have to process it and metabolize it, so you don't want to be taking something that's causing extra work to your body that you're not benefiting from.
Yeah.
And on vitamin D, actually, I just want to mention, so because vitamin D is fat soluble, that means that unlike some other vitamins, like say, for example, some B vitamins, which are water soluble, which means you take too much, then your body just excretes it in the urine. Vitamin D is not like that. You take too much vitamin D, it builds up in your liver, and you don't want that, because if you get to a really high level, it can cause some issues with your liver. So I always suggest to people, before you start supplementing with vitamin D, always check your levels, because then you know your starting point when you're unsupplemented, and work with a medical practitioner, or health practitioner, who can, whether you're a medical doctor, you're a naturopath, or another qualified health practitioner who checks your blood before you're on a certain dose, and you watch to see what happens, so you know how your body responds to it. Because if you were to take a certain dose of vitamin D, let's say 2,000 or 3,000 IUs a day, and I were to take the exact same dose, even if our blood values at the beginning of starting the treatment were exactly the same, our levels may not rise at the same pace because of our unique biology and the way our body handles vitamin D, or whatever it might be.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And shining a light on that is good for people to learn about, that there's more at play, there's more at work. So yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. So Dr. Pete has a lot of amazing tips and lifestyle items for people to integrate. He works with people in an amazing way, and I love that he's pivoted right now, and he also does virtual assessments. So hats off to all the professionals who are taking this moment to pivot and create new ways to still reach people that maybe they haven't done before. So good job on that, Dr. Pete.
Yeah, well, people are going through tough times, and sometimes it's easy to kind of get into that mindset where there's just so much going on and just kind of want to stay home and just process what's going on. But it's important to stay connected to whoever you're working with, because whether it's just for mental, emotional health and support, it's not a time to we're physically isolating, but it doesn't mean that we have to isolate totally from those who are helping us. And even socially, it's important to stay connected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we're talking about just building a healthy routine so that when we are faced with high levels of stress or threats, that our healthy routine and our lifestyle can help protect us like an armor. And when things like this come into our lives, we'll have less gaps in our armor, less areas where we can be threatened, I guess, and exposed and at risk.
So Wendy, how about for you? So let's talk a little bit more about what you and your family are doing during this time. Like, where are you focusing your efforts in staying healthy?
Yeah, for us, it's mostly daily life as usual, with a few extra measures, a few extra precautions, both on a physical and an emotional standpoint. Like we talked about all the challenges people are having right now. So it's prevention, it's strengthening and responding. And the prevention piece is everything we already know. It's everything we should have been doing to begin with, that we're taught by our parents and our teachers, etc. is, good hand hygiene and hand washing. That is the most effective way to cleanse your hands. It's actually not hand sanitizer, guys. It's hand washing. That's well documented. And working in the hospital setting for over a decade, infection control was a focus we always had to be up here on. We had to always be doing that. So good hand washing with soap and water, vigorous activity for 20 to 30 seconds. So prevention, we're doing our part to stay social distance, still getting outside and doing that. As far as prevention is also concerned, we're making sure our surfaces are clean and cleaner, and just did a scrub down of the office so that we can open back up on an emergency basis. So some of the oils I love to clean with, because essential oils can be effective cleaning tools in the home and in your environment. personally, that's a huge concern for me. What we're going to see in the next 10 years from all this heavy duty toxin exposure. But simple oils we clean with, and all you have to do is put 10, 15 drops in like a spray bottle like this. This is from the Dollar Tree. It's metal. You can use glass, and if you don't have any of that and can't get your hands on it, just go ahead and use plastic right now. My normal recommendation is metal or glass, but 10, 15, 20 drops of lemon oil. Purify is another one. It's a blend that has a lot of citrus oils in it. And citrus oils are great for cleaning and cleansing and breaking down the exterior of threats. And also On Guard is one that we clean with. So we're cleaning surfaces, water, vinegar, oils. You could add rubbing alcohol, as is the recommendation right now for this specific incident that we're going through. We're diffusing them too, not just for mood, but to cleanse the air and support healthy breathing, considering this is a respiratory challenge also. So that's on the prevention side of what we're doing. On our strengthening side, we're just continuing on with our healthy routine. So in the morning we get up, we use our oils, we use our On Guard, we use our stronger blend for the kids. We take our lemon oil in our water, keep working on our healthy detox and supporting detox organs that are working super hard right now with everything. Trying to look at the balanced lifestyle, what we always talk about in healthcare. A well-rounded health professional should be teaching properties of good nutrition, exercise and stress management, reducing your toxins, and that self-care piece of taking care, getting the rest that you need, sleep, etc. So we're doing those things, maybe even a little more, especially the rest and sleep. So that we've been building on this practice for a while. We've been doing this work as a family for a while, and we invite more people to look at these avenues of life. So that's the strengthening part, trying to limit sugar. Still, I bought ice cream the other day. I did. I was like, you know what? Let's do this as a family bonding moment, but it's not the norm. It's the extra. And then on the last piece, on the strengthening, we're using our oils to support a healthy inflammatory response in the body and a healthy immune response. We need those responses to keep functioning. We just don't want them to go overboard and create extra inflammation. So turmeric essential oil, copaiba essential oil, frankincense, those are three of my favorites. You can apply them topically or take them internally. If your kids are under 6, then they're not going to love the taste either, but it's more of them we use topical. And then responding to our situations. And that's like the moment to moment, maybe I'm tired and I need to pick me up to get going and get in the right headspace. Maybe I'm like overwhelmed at night and I can't sleep because my brain's turning. Well, then we're going to diffuse our oils and apply them. Or maybe it's the emotional stress and strain of the day. We use oils like Adaptive. That's our blend for adapting to stress and new situations. We use Serenity, simple oils like lavender. So there's tons and tons of options for people in that regard. And all you simply have to do is inhale them. Just inhale the oil. Take 20 seconds and breathe in. And it can affect your nervous system, your limbic system that quickly to, whatever the effect you're looking for. Decrease stress, anxiety, etc. Increase mood. So simple tools that many of you who are on my page, who follow me, know that that's what we use. So those are the things: prevention, strengthen, and respond to the situations. And working on the integration. So, yeah.
Perfect.
That's pretty much what we're doing in our home.
Yeah, it sounds like a holistic kind of approach that you're using. It sounds like you're focusing a bit more on family time and having some, those special not rituals, I guess it's not common, but just doing something special that, to bond together and, make the best out of time with your family.
We've been having more family meals around the table. That's not typically our norm, just with the life and the timing of who we are and what we do. And so that's been fun. We've been getting the kids onto a routine each day. It's not like hard and fast and stressful. It's here's what you gotta, work on today for school and math. And being flexible and forgiving around that, and trying to have open dialogue without creating feelings of fear within their lives. So those are puzzles. We're doing all those things too.
That's amazing.
Outside. And I posted posted a picture yesterday of my daughter looking like she was adjusting my husband, because chiropractic adjustments is another way to support our immune system. So we got a good laugh out of that. Taking daddy.
Maybe a future chiropractor.
What's that?
Maybe a future chiropractor.
Maybe so, maybe. Well, definitely she'll be in the healing profession of some sorts. Yeah.
And if there's anybody watching the video that's kind of wondering how does it work if they want to buy essential oils from you at this time, you know, how is it? Is it business as usual?
It's really busy right now. People are looking for cost-effective, evidence-based tools that they can use. So they just usually are reaching out to me directly. I go through what are their health concerns, what are they working on right now, and I make some suggestions and then teach them how to use them effectively for what they're looking for. And then we keep working on that. We have education and support groups. I don't know if you guys have seen, but we have we're opening up an intro class tonight. I'll post it out on Instagram afterwards, and then we're just opening up all our continuing education classes so that people can learn more now that they're home, and hopefully they'll look at something like that instead of getting involved in another TV show, which I'm looking for new ones.
Yeah, that's one of the things I appreciate about you, because your focus is really education and helping people, and you do offer these oils, but it's not about selling the oils or getting people to buy oils. And the way you said that you sit down with people, you get to understand them, you get to understand their health situation. So I really appreciate that, because to just go and pick up a bottle of oil off the shelf or just kind of order it online, there's probably people that do that and may not achieve the same results because there's not a knowledge and awareness of the ideal way to use the oils to achieve the goals they're trying to achieve.
Yeah, I actually serve those people all the time. They're like, you know what, I need more help. I'm coming to you. Like, yeah, let me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you started with some oil somewhere. Now let me teach you how to best use them.
Yeah, and the cool thing about your background is you've worked in a hospital setting. You have a doctor of physiotherapy, so you have all this science and knowledge and practical experience working in the hospital. So I think people really have a lot. You bring a lot to the table with your client. Yeah.
And it's fun for me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm passionate about it. So, well, you guys, thank you so much for being on with us today, and we hope that we've been able to pull up a recording somewhere so we can repost it for people. Our recording on Instagram will be up for 24 hours. Feel free to share it or tag someone. And for those who are looking for, a more in-depth approach and assessment of their health, you can reach out to Dr. Pete and also follow him on Instagram at Dr. Pete ND. And I'd love if you'd follow me as well, and perhaps check out my YouTube channel if you want to sit down and binge watch some education and health information. And I've got some classes up there too. You can just search YouTube channel, and it's just Wendy Kohler, WendyKohler. And tomorrow we're going to have on Dr. Leah Lawson. She is a chiropractor. She is amazing. She helped me with my concussion. I was seeing my husband for chiropractic and Dr. Leah for my concussion, and was really an integral piece in moving my health along in that area. So I'm excited to have her on to bring some of her best techniques and tips during this time, and always it's about daily health and creating. So we invite you to put into action one or two things that you learned today, or pass on one or two pieces of information. Let's spread health information instead of fear, and we are all going to get through this together. So, any closing remarks, Dr. Pete?
Well, thanks so much for this opportunity. It's been great chatting with you, and it's good to kind of connect with someone else who's passionate about health and sharing information with our communities. And I guess, the more we can focus on the things that we can do in our lives at this time, this challenging time, and, do positive things as much as possible, it'll spread, and soon we'll be through this difficult time, and hopefully we learn lessons from this.
Thank you so much for your expertise and for being on with me today.
No problem. If anyone, aside from adding me on Instagram, Dr. Pete ND, I don't have a YouTube channel, but I'm on Facebook, so my business page is Awaken Heart Naturopathic, and I'm always posting things on there, so it'd be great if you come join.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.